You're going to right click the folder, and then you're going to share it with the email address of the new Google account, and it will give you access to everything that's in that folder. But I'm going to give you a little heads up. If the old account ever goes down, if you haven't made copies, you will not have access to the original folder. So make sure that anything important to you, eventually you'll want to make copies and get it in your new Google account.
Okay, so I have to put everything in one folder and share it with myself. So would it be better for me to make a copy of all the documents and put those in one folder?
Nope, you're just going to drag and drop everything into that folder where you want. Anything you want shared, drag and drop it into the one folder or move it to one folder. And then that will give the whole folder access to the other Gmail account.
Okay, now what happens if they ended up eliminating those Google accounts? Do I still have everything in my new account, or do I lose all of those?
You would lose access if they eliminate the original account. So you'll definitely want to, that's where some people make copies. They start making copies of their work. Okay.
So I put everything to my new account, and then I went into my new account and I made copies of everything. Then the copies would stay mine.
Correct.
If I lost access, then I would lose the folder.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you so much. Anybody wants to add to help me out? But I think I got it. Thank you.
Dr. E, if you're talking, you're muted. If you're talking to the group.
That's fabulous. I've been talking to myself, actually. That's who I've been talking to. But thanks. It was so good. I was on a roll. You guys don't even know. I was lighting it up. So what I was saying is last week we were talking about change. We were talking about what change meant in innovations to change and change innovations. And I remembered that we had this standards-based learning school that is going on over in Allentown. And when I met with Krystin and talked to Krystin about recruiting students to the camp, she was like, we make partnerships, because she's a director of partnerships. And she says, we make partnerships, and we should be talking about how to do this outside of, the regular graduate or grades, because we don't do grades, we do portfolios. And I said, wow, this is a great opportunity to kind of get her and her colleague in some insight. And she said, I've got a colleague who also needs to join this conversation. And I said, that sounds fantastic. Let's do it. So we're going to take the next about 30, 45 minutes or so to kind of talk with Krystin and her colleague about their school and what they do. And feel free to ask questions. You know how I like to do guest speakers. We just have a fireside chat. It is very informal. I think that's where the nuggets, the good stuff comes in. So we'll start off with just introducing yourselves, and then we'll move into your standards-based learning approach, or whatever you guys call it, and how that operates. So I'm going to mute. We're recording, by the way, if you don't mind, because we like to share. Thank you. Thank you.
So I will start. So we're happy to be here. We'll introduce ourselves, but we also want to know who we're talking with. So we're going to ask you to introduce yourselves to us. So Krystin Seneca, Partnership Coordinator at Building 21 in Allentown. I have a original background in business management and marketing. So education's a second career to me. And I started off as a teacher at Building 21. I've always been in the Allentown School District. Started off as a teacher in Building 21, and recently got my education leadership degree from Lehigh University. And Telsa and I used to co-teach together originally at Building 21. Telsa, I'll let her share her role, but she is my assistant school leader. She's kind of the brains behind all of this. So I can kind of give you examples, but if you want to know the nitty gritty, she's going to be the one that's going to give it to you. So I'll shoot it over to you, Telsa.
Thanks, Krystin. I am Telsa. I have been in the Allentown School District for over a decade. Started with Building 21 with Krystin the first year we opened, and moved into the role for administration the year after. I am an alum of East Stroudsburg because I am also a career change. We love our career changers over at Building 21, and you'll hear why. You're going to see the connection later. But so yeah, I have a background in communications, switched over to secondary math through ESU, and now UPAL through Lehigh for administration. So I love education. I believe in professionals in learning for life. So I hope to be back into a new college soon to further some more degrees. And so we're going to ask you to introduce yourselves. If you can tell us your name, what school, correct? Or if you aren't at a school yet, where, what year you are, that would be awesome, or what your plans are. And you can popcorn it. So come on off mute and let us know.
My name is Jennifer. I teach in Salisbury Township School District. I teach third grade, and this is my 23rd year.
And you have a lot of medals.
Those are my son's wrestling medals.
Okay, I'll go. So I actually went to ESU also, but for psychology. That was a long time ago. I worked in mental health for years and years till I went back to school for education. And so now I've been teaching, well, I taught at like a 2-year college for a few years, and now I'm at Pleasant Valley High School teaching 12th grade English for probably, I think now 13 years, about 13 years now, so.
I'm Kennedy. I went to East Stroudsburg University for my undergrad. I did political science, history, and sociology, and now I'm in the master's program for history and for getting my teaching certification. Currently, I'm subbing at a school in Philadelphia and outside Philadelphia. That's it.
Hi, I'm Beth. Oh, I'm sorry. Jessica, do you want to go?
Go ahead, Beth. That's fine.
My name's Beth. I went to Penn State and Lehigh University. I used to teach at Easton Area School District, 3rd grade and kindergarten. I left in 2006 to become a caregiver to my mother. So I am just getting back into education. I am taking classes to get recertified. So that's me.
Hi. Hold on. My internet's acting up. So I'm Priscilla. I work in the Easton High School. I'm a mental health worker. My undergraduate was sociology, and right now I'm doing special ed with a concentration. And ABA. I love the mental health field, and yeah, that's it.
Hi, I'm Jessica. I am a 7th grade Earth and Space Science teacher with East Stroudsburg Area School District. I am also from East Stroudsburg University. I studied chemistry with education.
Hello, my name is Brett Yeomans. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes late. I am a 10th grade social studies teacher in East Stroudsburg Area School District at East Stroudsburg South High School. I teach civics, so that's an interesting topic to be teaching right now. I went to ESU for my undergrad, secondary education history. I ran track at ESU, and now I have the pleasure of coaching track of high school students. So that's where I'm at.
Hello, my name is Nathalie Passou, the French speaker here. I am a graduate student in an education program, planning to be a French teacher in Pennsylvania.
Hi, I'm Courtney. I teach first grade at Pocono Mountain, and this is my 3rd year.
My name's Chantel. I did my undergrad at Penn State in Health Policy and Administration, and I got my master's degree in teaching cert from Lehigh University in elementary ed, and I'm a 3rd grade teacher at Bangor.
My name's Michelle. I work at Washington School District. I started out my career teaching in Alabama for 7 years, moved back to Pennsylvania. I've been teaching for 16 years where I'm currently at. In between the time that I came back up here, I taught for 10 years as an adjunct professor at Waynesburg University. And now I just teach K-6 ESL students.
Just Dr. E, go ahead.
Oh, Dr. E, East Stroudsburg University, Digital Media Technologies, keeping it awesome sauce.
Thank you. I am going to share my screen. So Telsa and I can get started. Feel free to unmute yourselves at any time, interrupt us. Let us know if you have questions. We love questions, and we promise we'll try and get through the presentation, but you can always, we'll let you know how to reach us if you'd like to reach out to us after this as well. So I'm going to share my screen and let's get this rolling. Okay, everyone can see everything, right? Okay.
Yep, you're good.
Okay, so we're from Building 21. So I can give you a little bit of background information about Building 21 before we get started. It won't take long. Building 21 is a network. We are the actual school, Building 21. We still work with our network partners. However, we are Allentown's 3rd high school. So we're not a charter school. We operate as Allentown City's 3rd high school. So everything that you hear is actually happening within a city school district as a city school. However, we do rely on our network for some support in integrating their model into our building, which Telsa works very closely doing. I'll start us off quickly on relationships. So we're going to go through a couple building blocks of our school and how we, what we believe in, what we value, and you'll see how they all build upon each other. But the very foundation of our school is relationships. So we operate an advisory model. Every student is known by name. They have an advisor all 4 years. That advisor is the main point person for that student, that family, all teachers in the building. We meet as an advisory every day. Through that advisory period, we meet in circles. We talk about, how we're doing, our challenges, our successes, what we've learned, what we need to learn. We talk about college and career readiness. We learn about ourselves through personality assessments and career assessments. And we operate as an advisory for the 4 years that the kids are with us. So this enables us to provide a safe environment where children feel that they are able to learn. They're able to fail, they're able to learn. It gives them confidence in themselves. They learn about themselves. And, it's truly, we believe that students come to school because of a relationship that they have in the building. That's why kids come to school. And we hope that our advisory provides that opportunity for a lot of our students. So relationships comes first and foremost. We are a restorative practice school. So, you might hear that come up again as we go through, but relationships is at our foundation. Would you add anything, Telsa?
Nope, you're good. You're good. You said it well.
Okay. Our second building block is personalized learning pathways. And I'll throw this one over to Telsa because she's the expert.
So personalized learning pathways really are, and Krystin, you can slide. I'm good. So you all see there kind of in a nutshell what we do, but nothing says it better than this like glamorized Google product. So if you ever know anything about Sheets, we have like the craziest sheet system going for our students, which is their PLP, their personalized learning plan. So using technology, we have laid out a way, you see me scrolling on tabs there at the bottom. We have a way to memorialize student experiences using this like type log you're looking at here. We set goals with students, personal, career, academic, through this platform. Everything that you can imagine students really need to focus on for post-secondary goes through this Google Sheet. And then the students have it for all 4 years. It also holds their assessment scores, their attendance, their progress in classes, which is the portfolio system you heard about and you'll hear more about soon. So it houses everything that a student may need to monitor their success for post-secondary. Our advisors are the ones that really teach the students how to use this. Along with it, we have an entire class for freshman year, a course called Foundations that teaches students the foundations not only of being a high school student, but the foundations of being a Building 21 student, because our model is that different that we had to add a course freshman year to teach them about what it's like to be a Building 21 student and to use technology, because we've been a one-to-one school since we opened up.
So I have to get out of this video. Next, we'll touch upon the building block of problem-based learning. So students at our building learn through an inquiry model where they're solving real world problems. Our teachers are designers. Everything that we do in our classroom is connected to a problem that our students are asked to solve and in turn impact the school community or their world, whether it's large, small, their home, doesn't matter. So we ask them that they look through different lenses to see how they can solve a problem. Never once have I heard a student ask me, why am I learning this? I'm sure many of you might have heard that come up in a classroom, especially a math classroom. It was me. I can honestly say that I've never heard our kids say, I don't know why I have to know this. And I don't think we don't give them the opportunity to. So problem-based learning. Telsa, do you want to talk through the design process? Okay.
Sure, I can. So we really did a lot of work, and I know you all probably are most interested in competencies, but competencies are hard to implement without a design process that really emphasizes the competencies, gives students a place to utilize those skills, right, and make them applicable. So the studio design process had to go alongside the competencies. So we really want to make it, our two goals are authenticity, and then the other piece that can happen is relevance. So sometimes you can't get every content. You probably know this. Not every content is going to be applicable to an authentic situation, but our staff needs to make sure it's relevant, right? So whatever you're proposing to the students, it either needs to be authentic or relevant for them to really want to be involved and engaged in what you're doing and what you're learning. So this design process has really been a work in progress from the moment we opened this building. It's taken us a long time to get to this point, but you see the stages there. So our staff launch, then we have like a cycle that you come in and out of: investigate, create, and revise. Revision is a very important step when you're talking about competencies. So when you see the competency slides, you're going to understand, oh yeah, like the feedback cycle, the revision cycle is imperative in order for students to improve on skills using competencies. So that's why that cycle is there. And then of course, the impact that our students make, pretty much everything we do, we want to culminate with an impact project or somehow impacting our communities, our lives. So we do include that as a piece of all of our studios, which studios, by the way, are essentially like coursework. You're muted, but I'm guessing you're shaking your head. Okay, so competencies.
Competencies. This is what you want to hear. So we'll talk about this. Telsa, you can start.
Okay, the competencies are really a set of skills, right? So competencies are skills. It's different than content. So a lot of times we think of bio content and algebra content and what are students reading in class. But the point of our competencies is really agnostic. So we don't want it to just rely on content and students to be able to be successful with them because of content. The skills should be transferable. So whatever skill we're teaching in science year 1, freshman year, we want to be able to use that same skill again in year 2 for different content. So we might be teaching bio in year 1 to our freshmen. We're teaching bio, but that same skill that we use, for example, scientific investigation, they're learning how to do a scientific investigation freshman year. They're also doing that over and over again, year 2, year 3, year 4, and they're applying those skills with different content. So they're going to go through bio, integrated science, chemistry, environmental. They're going to get all the different content, but the same skills follow that student for 4 years in science. So we really want them to be able to take these critical thinking skills, these 21st century skills that are wrapped around, as you see in our competencies, and to be able to apply them in different situations or scenarios so that they've mastered it by the time they graduate. That is the goal of what we do with competencies and really what they are skills, right? And so you see the 5 main areas or competencies that we focus on. I will tell you that the purple, personal development, is the least mastered in our building right now, if you will. So that's our last step of our phase of integration of competencies, because you wouldn't want to roll all of these out at once when you're teaching others how to teach with competencies. It's very overwhelming to learn how to teach competencies. So it's our last phase. So you don't see a lot of it in our programming yet, but core content areas, of course. Then we have what's called habits of success. So that's really about the students learning how to interact, how to take care of their own personal management of self. That's really where they're building that agency that you saw in our mission statement on the first slide. The wayfinding experiences. So those are actually a set of experiences that we believe all high school students should experience before they graduate. So there are things on there like post-secondary visits. So we make sure our students, all of our students, have at least visited one college and hopefully one college a year. So we want them to step foot on a campus it's so important to us that we make sure that Krystin, who's our partnership coordinator, double books sometimes when she's out on her field trips. Oh, you're going to be across from ESU. Do you mind stopping by? So that's really a drive of ours on a constant basis. For our student population of Allentown, it's so important that as administrators, as leaders in our building, that we are making that forefront to say, this is a priority for us. We model that, our students see it, and then it just changes the culture and dynamic of your building. So that's an example of a wayfinding experience. Next Gen Essentials. These came out of work that we've done with businesses and the national work that leads what career employability skills are. So we took those skills, we worked with locals, and we determined what the priority would be for our students. So you'll see things in there like presentation, collaboration, and we are actually rating students and giving them feedback on how well they collaborate with others, which is that's why we have a foundations class. Let's just put it that way, because when kids get to us and we say, that's not how you resolve conflict, they're like, wait, what? I get a grade for resolving conflict in my group? And absolutely you do, because this is a skill that we believe will make you successful for post-secondary. So that's why you see Next Gen Essentials being just as important and valuable to us as the core content areas. We do have an example of what I'm talking about with competencies, because you all are educators, so we get to dive a lot deeper into what we're talking about in a presentation like this. So you see at the top, a habits of success competency called building networks. So we actually are teaching students how to build relationships with diverse individuals and expand their network of people who can help and support me, the student. So those indicators, they're called, which are the green box, you see the indicators, those are exactly the feedback we can give students based on how well they are building networks. So students are going to look at this when they get they will do an activity. Say they've gone out for this one, we would have had a partner in the building with us doing some kind of activity. So you can see the indicators, they're a little fuzzy, but I can clearly articulate what I need help with and why. So the teacher is watching and observing in that interaction, how they're articulating what they need help with, and if they can explain why. If a student's able to do that, it's like, check, they did that indicator. That's a level 10, right? So all 4 things on there would get a student a level 10 in this competency, in this skill. Then the student's like, okay, well, what if I want a level 12? So the level 12 language is going to get a little bit more complex, and hence you see the feedback cycle is naturally built into what we call continua. So a student will get this back with the ratings for this activity and know where they hit, what they did observe, what the teacher did observe in this moment, and then they'll be able to see what they could do better or improve on just by the language of the continua. Across all of our continua, level 10 does not mean grade 10. It's commonly like misconception. It actually is our college and career readiness indicator. Level 12 is college level work. So a lot of times you have to have somewhere to move up to, right? So students who are your advanced students have to have aim and a challenge. So the continua doesn't go just with grade level, it goes up and beyond our high school levels, so that students who are coming in higher than other students have a chance to accelerate. Does that make sense, what I'm trying to say there? So the level 12 is really your college level work.
The only thing that I'm going to add on to, because you're teachers and we can speak to this, is the work that we've done. It's one thing to lay out these competencies, right? And our competencies here, we try our best to align them with state standards or whatever the case may be, right? So there is work that's done behind them. But I can tell you the tricky part of all of this is the norming of the ratings, right? So we don't give students grades, we give them ratings at our building, and their ratings are the level 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Those are our ratings. So we spend a lot of time as teachers sitting with each other, looking at student work samples and talking and discussing about what you would rate that student's work, right? We call that norming. You know, a lot of times we go into these conversations often with, you know, hard on the content, soft on the person. You know, we have to kind of take those steps because these conversations are hard. Sometimes they're very hard because you're asking teachers to come together and agree on something. So, you know, the work around competencies is great. It's very transparent for our kids to see what they need to do in order to earn a specific level. And it also shows where their gaps in learning are and how we can get them there. But in the grand scheme of things, there's work that goes into it. So it looks great here, but we are an iterative model, and I can assure you that this probably won't be the same when you see it 2 years from now because we change. So, any questions on what you're seeing here? This is really kind of
I'll do it. I'll do a brag on this because I think that it's underwhelming for Krystin and I because we live in the work. But when I know that I do tours of our building from people all across our country that seek us because we're using competencies as such across our entire building, I'm telling you, I've had Hawaii, Singapore. Singapore. I should start counting the states because I wonder if we've hit all the states yet. But you forget the work that you're doing is so innovative and different that we're speaking to it like it's like, oh, and then you just do this and that and this. So it's kind of like, but I just want to share that it's like really a grateful opportunity for me as an educator to get to do this work because it's so different when you teach in a classroom and you use competency. The students buy in. It's amazing. They're hungry for feedback, right? They're always hungry for feedback. How did I do? What could I do better? And this allows for the conversations to occur in your classroom on a regular basis. And it's just one of the most beautiful things I'll probably ever get to see in my career. So for what it's worth, I have to share that because I think that it's often it's kind of like, if you've not lived it, it's hard to imagine.
So Allentown School District didn't always start off as a competency-based model. When did it start? Can you give us a little bit of its history and how long you've been at this?
Yes. So we are as Krystin mentioned the network earlier a little bit. So the Building 21 network created these competencies. They own the competencies. And by the way, they're free to anybody. It's an open source system. So competencies, this set can go anywhere. But the hard work is implementing competencies, right? So they opened a school in Philly first in 2014. And that school in Philly is Building 21. It was Ferguson. Now it's just Building 21 Philadelphia. And we opened a year later in Allentown. Allentown was seeking something at the time that would help them, completely transparent person. So it was trying to help them pull students back from the charter school systems. They needed something different, something innovative that might help with that challenge that the district was facing. So they sought the network. And so they opened Allentown in 2015. So we've only been at this this is our 6th year, and we are the truest of the model in Building 21 Allentown. Philly actually does a hybrid type system. They use the competencies for some coursework, not all of the coursework. We use the competencies throughout all of our programming, electives, core courses. We build portfolios. Portfolios at the end of the year get translated to a grade, which is a very interesting process. And you might ask, why would you do that? There's one word, it's a transcript. So the college system hasn't caught up to necessarily the world of competency. So they want to regurgitate grades and GPAs to give students, scores to get accepted into your colleges, especially your like Ivy League schools and such. So we do translate grades, right or wrong. That's where we are right now. We all have our philosophical views of that, but that's where we are now. So it is our 6th year. Technically, is it our 7th year? It might be our 7th year now, because we're going to have our 3rd graduating class. No, it is our 6th year.
We're going into our
it's going into our 7th. I'm preparing for our 7th year. So we had 2 graduating classes so far. We have rocked our graduation rates compared to our locals, local competitive, well, they call them your competitor rates, right? So across the country compared to us, across the city compared to us, we are rocking our graduation rates. We are rocking our college, what is that? This number of students who take dual enrollment classes while they're with us in high school is over 50% of our classes that are graduating, which is a really good number. So we're really proud of that. And then what we are not doing well at is standardized test scores. Because for a long time, while we were learning how to implement this model, we said philosophically, we are not going to put that as a leading indicator, they say. So like in the forefront of what we need to change, right? We knew that would be a lagging indicator. Like eventually those scores are going to improve. We just have to be patient and give ourselves time. When you're doing innovation, that is the number one thing people will come at you for, is that your standardized test scores are not good, and they love it. That's what they stand on. That's everything they come at you for. They'll ignore all the other good statistics. They don't care how many kids you're sending to college, what your college matriculation looks like. It is that you are not passing those test scores. So we are working on our messaging on a regular basis on how to do a better job of sharing the successes that do really matter. And I think that most people do believe in their hearts are super important. It's just hard to get past what the newspaper writes. That was a long answer for where we've been. I should have let Krystin take it.
That was very good. That was very good.
No.
Questions from the peoples.
Yeah.
You guys got drop some heavy information. Pretty sure the wheels are spinning. What you got?
Is this only available for students at the high school level in the Allentown School District?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And we never talked about how we get students either. So it is for 9th through 12th. We only take students that are rising 9th graders. And we take them from anyone in the Allentown School District. Could be from, as long as you reside in Allentown, you can apply to us. And we run a lottery school. So we, as soon as we get over the applications over the number of seats we're taking for the next year, we automatically go to a lottery system. So students the applications get assigned numbers, and we just pull random numbers to take on our population. And then our demographics closely match that of the district because of the algorithms we're using to generate those numbers.
Is there anything that you noticed? I just sat through a professional development yesterday when we go through very many protocols in our building. And as teachers, you're probably would be excited to know that every Wednesday our students get out early. So our teachers have 2 hours of professional development time built into our schedule to do this work. Professional development in our building looks a heck of a lot different than it probably looks in all of your buildings. Our faculty meetings are professional development meetings where we are designing and building and teaching and differentiating and giving feedback and norming. It's intense. And one of my favorite questions that we ask at professional development is, what do you notice? Do you notice anything? Like, does this remind you of something? Like in a traditional setting, would this be something you would see? What's your take?
I mean, the way this is set up. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know who was talking because I don't have my whole thing up. I'm so overwhelmed. I'm like so overwhelmed in a good way, but just I have a bazillion questions in my head. And this reminds me of the way our like not just like the regular standards, but you know, we had like building level standards years ago, and then our building kind of got rid of those district standards and we just used the regular core, PA core. But this reminds me of when we had our own kind of building standards, but they were never this good. I mean, you know, this is more ideal of like kind of what you would want to work towards. And so that's kind of what it makes me think of. I don't know if that's what you were thinking of, but that's what it reminds me of, the way that you have it set up with like the levels and the different things you've identified. You know, our district standards were kind of similar to that, but still aligned with the PA standards. And then we kind of got away from that a little bit. But I don't know. I'm trying to wrap my brain around this whole system still. So it's pretty cool.
Jessica, do you still have something?
Yeah, sure. So I'm actually taking another course with ESU and assessment, and we've been working a lot with rubrics and performance-based assessments. And essentially this kind of reminds me of how your district is just solely based on a rubric. One of my questions is in regards to all of your assessments and how you're looking for student understanding, do your rubrics align with this exact outline, or is it like, how does it differentiate from, you know, the building blocks that leads up to determining these levels? I don't really know. I don't know how to ask what's in my brain.
I'm going to ask you a question back. So when you're speaking to, so what you see here, and maybe it won't be a question back, but I just want clarification. What you see here is one tiny example of a rubric we use in our building. We have, oh gosh, I couldn't even tell you the number anymore. I feel like it's 60 some of these competencies. Do you see that HOS 3 in the corner? I think we are at 60 some now. Different rubrics then, like different, essentially rubrics, right? That we have in our building to assess all the different performance-based assessments. So each time a teacher creates a performance-based assessment, they are using this continua or rubric to design it to make sure they're hitting the indicator at their level. So sometimes our freshman teachers, or they're handing it to a freshman, their assessments might look a bit different than when we're at senior level and we're trying to push them past 10s to get them to the 12 level. So their assessments are going to be differentiated just in that sense alone. Plus, we go through a process of differentiation and scaffolding at the lesson level, as well as the assessment level through our collaboration time that our departments have. So at that level, teachers are always working together on their assessments to make sure that they're differentiating the assessment as well for facilitation for delivery at the period level, if that makes sense, for each period they see throughout the day.
Now, are you using backwards design methods? Okay, that's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, so that studio, that graphic design you saw earlier, it's built off of UBD. So understanding by design, which is I would say, the father of backwards design, right? If you will.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Dr.
Just want to make sure if anyone has another question. we give them an opportunity. There's lots of good stuff here, lots of interesting things to say, and I think a lot of entry points for opportunities. We talked about partnerships. So there's lots of that, but I want to be as patient because I know you guys have more questions in there about what this looks like, about how those core competencies change and evolve, and how do you address those changing and evolving competencies, like trying to hit a moving target. So I don't want to ask that question. I want you guys to ask that question. If you have them, or you might be more interested in something more subtle, like how big are the classes? How big are the class sizes? What's the teacher to student ratio? Stuff like that.
I was thinking about what is the class size when you were talking earlier. Maybe I should have jotted down my questions because like Danielle, there were 1,000 questions going through my mind. But when you think about a traditional high school and you pass like 9th grade to go to 10th grade, how does that look or compare to your students that are in like level 9, level 10, level 11? Is it similar or different?
It is different. So my job is to make sure that I can marry this non-traditional model with the traditional systems that the school board has laid out for us. So that is a really good question because they require that we have a certain credit level where students in the district get retained or not retained. So we've worked really, really hard alongside our school district, Allentown School District, to create something that works for us. So what happens is students' portfolios don't ever close, right? They never restart. So the point of a portfolio is that students are gaining skills in this area a certain number of time. So like maybe we want to see them demonstrate it 4 times before the end of the year, each of those skills, right? Maybe it's 3. It's all, that's been a work in progress as well. But in the end, we want students to demonstrate what kind of skills they have to fill up this portfolio to say they're ready to move on to the next portfolio. So that being said, we look at what percent students have completed of that portfolio as the determining factor of whether they should be a certain grade in the student information system and to tell their parents, right? So we've kind of averaged how long it should take for a student to finish that portfolio, which is about a year. We've got the portfolios down to a system where it's about a year for the average student, so that we still have a little bit of overlap in summer. So we do summer school as well and continue those skills and that development. And then we, at the end of summer school, look to see how much percent is left of that portfolio. If a student has not made progress and there isn't a lot of hard examples in that portfolio or evidence in that example or in that portfolio, we will consider that a student that may need to retain, so that it's really about communicating to parents, right? Then we communicate to the families and we say, we think your student this is going to take more time because we're not time-based. Your student needs more time to complete this English portfolio freshman year. And we think it's a valuable use of time to build these foundational skills. And so we just want to let you know that, because it's going to be a lot of hard work for the student to catch up to a 4-year graduation, right? So we communicate that with the parent, and we have to have those conversations on a regular basis. What's beautiful about it, though, is that a student can turn it on, man. Like 10th through 11th grade, you wouldn't believe it. Students turn it on and they're like, I'm done with this nonsense. Like I'm in, put me in 2 English classes, I want algebra and geometry at the same time. And they're like, I am done with this nonsense. I am back in this game. People have supported me. People have cared about me, and I'm going to hit that graduation at 4 years. And it gives them the ability to do that. So they'll double up a core class. they'll be doing double the amount of performance-based assessments to show the skills they've got and to push those levels up high enough to really get that portfolio filled up. And so students who come in and just, I don't know if you know much about Allentown, on average, our students come in about 4 or 5 years behind in reading levels and 5 to 6 years behind in algebra readiness levels. So that freshman year it's a tough one. It's a tough one. We have a lot of students who are essentially still working on portfolios at the end of that freshman year. And then we have built a programming. We changed our programming. We've literally changed the whole way school looks because of this phenomenon that you're talking about with retention in students and failure, right? The way we consider and think about failure in traditional schools, and how do you, why are we failing kids? Why are we telling them to start over? So that process has been really, it's valuable, but it's been a process. So that's a really good question, because traditional systems make you do that.
Thank you. So does that mean your teachers work 12 months out of the year?
We definitely have the staff that are working a lot, but we pay them. So don't worry. So our staff works, I will share with you that this work, the number one answer from staff, if I ask them, like, what can I do to support you? What can I do as a leader? Like, what do you need? Do you know the number one answer from them is time. I want more time. I need more time. It's time, right? When you take a time-based system out of education, the number one thing that everybody wants more time of is like time. It's great. It's crazy because you're taking off this like deadline, it's crazy. It's hard to explain, but I'm trying to explain it here. But it means that a staff can see that their dedication to their work is just as valuable as a student's dedication to their work. Because when a student needs more chances to show that they have skills, the teacher's like, I've got to show them more chances. They're on. It's a student turns it on, right? I want to do this. I'm ready. I know I can do this. I know I got behind. I wasn't showing what I got, but now I got it and I get it. And so the teachers, they're like, I got to give. And sometimes we just have to be like, pause. You will burn yourself out. Like, pause. It's a balance. We will let them, there's opportunities to do this. There's opportunities in the summer, but we cut off summer school. We all take a break, right? And then we get back at it in the fall again. But I have to say that there's some students that figured out the system and they work over that time that we pause between summer and fall starting. They're working. And when fall opens up, the teachers get like those, I don't know, a handful of students, Krystin, like 10 to 12 students who have work the first day of school to be rated. It's like, where'd you get that? Where did that come from? But they are ready to roll. They want that portfolio flip. They want to, I don't know, sometimes it just gives the opportunity for them to turn it on, and they'll turn it on and they're ready to go. And it's pretty cool. But it does take effort.
Epic. I've got the final question. It's a yes, no question, and it's just something to think about. I work in a space of engagement and motivation and perseverance. So yes, no question. Are you measuring grit at the different stages of their entry? 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. Yes or no?
Yes, we are.
Perfect. All right, that's all you need. That's game over right there. Very, very amazing. I want to thank you guys for stepping up and coming on in and being so interested in helping us with this incredible course that we're trying to understand where there are opportunities that exist, where people are doing something different. And I think that's what we talked about last week, which is where are we doing something different and where is it working? And what's really great is we've got one sitting in our backyard. which is awesome sauce. I'm going to give you guys the final word, but afterwards we're going to wrap it up. We're going to transition. We appreciate you guys for coming. Hey, thank you guys so much. You guys are doing some extraordinary work. I know Krystin was talking about how we improve the relationship and things like that. I think there's a lot of opportunities. I think I kind of hinted at all the things that we're doing here with the living learning community through esports or interactive media. And it's pretty big what we're doing here. We haven't unrolled it yet. It's still coming, but I think that there's a lot of opportunity, and we'll be having some more conversations. But I'm going to kick it to you guys for the last word, and then we will transition.
I just want to thank you all for being educators. So that is what I'll leave it at. Thank you. Thank you for the craziness that you've endured in the last year. And my contact information is in chat if you all are interested in more, and always looking for candidates. So I will put that plug in because we're a great place to work.
Absolutely. And I don't want to leave you with last words. I want you to come for more. I want you to look at our website, look up Building 21, the network. There's tons of open resources there. Really think about the traditional settings that you're in and push back against the norm. Something that we did not touch on that is very important in what you saw in our competency sets. It's all student-facing language. And we believe in student-facing language. So I can statements, growth mindset. There's a lot of work that we do in our building around climate and culture. And I believe that our building is part of an educational movement to change the face of education. And it's something that I encourage you all to come visit, come see what we do as soon as this Corona thing is over. But you can come wear a mask. But come see what we do. Come talk to our kids. You're more than welcome. And Dr. Reed's going to come and teach a class with us. So maybe you can join him. But thank you. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. It's been fun. It's been fun. There's going to be more. There's more. This is just the beginning of the conversation. So Absolutely. There will be more.
Absolutely.
There will be more. All right. Nice to meet you, Telsa.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure. Yeah, let me know. I think we're going to need some help. We do this really cool thing at the end of the year with our kiddos called, they build e-portfolios, right? And then they do a presentation of learning. We'd love to get a partner in there that knows it best. So, and I saw on your website, you all are doing e-portfolios. So
yes, they are.
We'd love to get more. So we will be reaching back out because it's all about networking. So thank you to you, and you all have a great night.
Thank you too. Have a great weekend too. Easter with the holiday. Enjoy.
And don't hesitate to reach out to us with any questions, no matter how silly you might think they are. Yeah.
Fabulous. Take care, guys. Nice to meet you. All right. So I stopped recording.